Good afternoon and happy new year, y'all. This is Brian Trin here from the Jungle Podcast. I have with me today Chris Lynch and my friend Daniel Khan. Daniel, would you like to bring up a topic for today?
Yeah, so honestly, man, I've been thinking about this for quite some time, and I didn't want to address it at first because I didn't know if too many people knew about it, but I was just like, you know what, there's no way to not address this. And I wanted to kind of talk about modern day slavery.
Modern day
And
slavery.
I don't think it's what people expect it to be, because what I'm talking about is the situation currently going on in China and with the Uyghur Muslims and how they're being treated in literal concentration camps.
Right.
And I just wanted to kind of go off of what you guys think about that so far.
Well, my knowledge of that topic is very surface level. I do understand that the Chinese are basically re-educating the populace in order to maintain a more Chinese identity with the Muslims, but as far as the subtleties of the situation, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that. What I know is that they're getting put in concentration camps, like you said before. I know that they're getting killed. It's almost like a modern day Holocaust, essentially. That's what's happening right here.
Well,
right now.
yeah, because, what's interesting is that there was actually a report that just came out that more Uyghur Muslims have already died in those concentration camps than in the actual Holocaust itself.
Really?
Which says a lot, because for anyone that does not know, there was about 6 million Jews that died in the Holocaust. And when you're looking about, it's and that was with everyone fully knowing about the situation, and there was a whole war about it and everything. But here we are in our silence and everything, and no one really either doesn't know or doesn't want to kind of address a huge problem that's going on internationally.
Well, just for the audience who aren't really well informed on who the Uyghurs are, do you have a brief description?
Yeah, so they're essentially a population from Xinjiang, China.
Which is in the west.
Yeah.
Right.
And so these guys, essentially what's been happening to them is they've been getting rounded up, they've been getting experimented on, they've been getting killed, they've been forced to eat pork, which for anyone that doesn't know is against Islamic tradition. They've been getting re-educated and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot that's going on, and quite honestly, it's they're telling their women to have essentially get raped and have non-Muslim kids, all that kind of stuff, and educating those kids to grow up under the communist Chinese regime.
Do you think that the reason that they're doing this is due to that fact, because of the communism and making sure that everyone is aligned? For example, if you have people, a part of the people there, believing in God and not in the nation, that could mess up communism of itself in China. So are they trying to get rid of a problem because it will go against communism and it could revolt into a democracy later on, kind of like what happened with Hong Kong, where they were fighting for their rights? Do you think that is the way that we're seeing things right now?
Well, definitely, if you know about the Dalai Lama and Tibetans, that situation there happened much earlier in China, but they basically did the same thing with Tibetans, a separate ethnic group from, the main ethnicity within China, the majority, which is Han Chinese. And the agenda of the communist regime in China wants to basically assimilate everyone to become Han Chinese. So all these territories on the outskirts of the borders of China and stuff like that, they just want to basically make everyone Chinese
But it makes sense, because again, the whole gist of them is their whole ideology is not for yourself, it's for the nation.
From their standpoint.
From their standpoint. So
It's a nationalistic movement, but the problem
Exactly.
with that is that
there's no freedom.
there is no freedom.
There's no freedom at all.
The thing is Islam doesn't teach communism. Islam actually is very heavy on democracy.
Right.
It was, ever since, Islam was
Afghanistan.
revealed, like it was always about democracy, but like people have made it, like countries have made it into something that it's not, you know, and like China's currently doing that in a much more extreme way. And quite honestly, it's sad to see because we all feel like we want to be heard, right? And there's definitely people out there who are getting like their voices are getting shut down. Like literally it's to the point, and I wanted to bring this up, like I wanted to name this podcast Modern Day Slavery because of the fact like they're literally forcing these Chinese Muslims now to pick cotton and everything. And like, you know, not that it's right or anything at all. In the US, unfortunately, we've experienced that and there's no way of justifying that either. But to see it happening now after, you know, history has shown us time and time again that doing this to people is oppressive. It's not something that we should do. You know, I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on that.
I mean, history often does repeat itself. Like, slavery still happens in parts of Africa to this day. Parts of Cambodia, I'm pretty sure, too. It's surprising that in this new year, 2021, you know, people could still be treating each other in such, like, unhuman ways. You know what I mean?
I just find it, like, it's not even funny anymore. Like, it's 2021. Like, we're out here still in the States fighting the Jim Crow laws, the effects of the Jim Crow laws, and still the effects of slavery. Like, what's going to happen when, obviously, hopefully, everything goes well and, you know, they stop persecuting Muslims back in China? What's going to happen to those generations in the upcoming future?
Mm-hmm.
Everything's just going to tumble down into a big snowball, and everyone's just going to reap what they sow. It's just not going to be pretty in China in a few years from now. And another thing I wanted to tackle is, like, I know you said, like, people don't care. People are not really out here trying to help.
Not that they don't care, but
They're-
more like
yeah.
a lack of education on the topic.
Lack
Yeah.
of awareness. But, like, to be honest, do you think America should get involved in this type of problem? Because we're usually the police of the world. When there's something wrong, we come in. World War I, World War II, Vietnam. Like, even though
Iraq.
Vietnam was wrong, like Iraq. Like, if there's a problem, we come in. We're the police. But should we be the police in this situation right now?
I think as Americans, we have this responsibility of we've always fought for what's right. We've always fought for people's inalienable rights, whether it be in our own country or
Abroad.
And I feel like with something like this, it really comes down to like, yeah, I think we should. I think it's something that every country should get involved. And I know President Trump made efforts to actually put sanctions on China for what they were doing to the Uyghur Muslims. I'm not actually quite sure about any other country, but I know in terms of him, he did, which is really cool of him and like well done for that.
My thing is, like,
knew that.
we're almost like declaring. If we do this, we're almost declaring war in China, and we've never fought a country
As big as China.
as big
I
as
mean,
China.
basically, within this next decade, we can definitely anticipate some type of conflict because China, like I don't know how much you know about like the U.S. military's briefings on this stuff, but definitely with like naval forces, they've been paying attention to the seaports and the islands surrounding like the South China Sea, which borders countries like the Philippines and Vietnam, and there are definitely tensions in those territories. And Hong Kong, obviously,
Weren't
as well.
they trying to do something with Taiwan like a little while ago?
Yeah, they're always trying
They're
to do
always trying
something
to-
with like
yeah.
the islands surrounding nations, stuff
I
like
just
that.
don't know why they're trying to like start something when like
They want to be a world power, bro. Like that's
aren't they
literally
already a world power?
They want to be
the world power.
If you know about the history of China, like before the 1800s, China thought itself to be the most superior power in the eastern
That's why
hemisphere of the world.
That's why they didn't want any trade or anything like that.
They didn't want any trade with any the Western powers because to them they were the superior power of the world.
And same thing with Japan. But Japan, what's it called, got away from.
They integrated
Yeah.
the Western ideals, and I mean
They're
They
an
s-
ally. Japan is saying ally.
they're an island, but like the nationalism there spun off into its own thing
Yeah,
during World War
yeah.
II. But
I just think it's interesting because it's like you take a country that's so huge, so populated and everything like that, and it's like you're outside of Hong Kong, even within Hong Kong, you see such a struggle to like for actual rights. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, not saying that there's not that struggle here in the US and of course there is, but it's like with like as many lives that are at stake there that people don't really tend to grasp, because it's like people are getting killed in the streets for like just disagreeing with the government, you know. Like, we're fortunate enough to like, I haven't heard of anything that's happened like that here. I don't know about you guys, but it's like we can openly disagree with the government here,
I feel like
yeah,
and that's our right.
yeah.
They can't do that over there.
yeah, I feel like this is showing us like how good we have it in America, because there's people out here, we're fighting over like 2 presidents while other people out here trying to find food for tomorrow or today.
They're fighting for their families.
They're fighting for their identity, their culture, their
Exactly.
traditions, all this stuff.
Most Americans are not doing that. We're not doing that fight. We're out here fighting, you know,
Like surface level.
surface level ideals that
It's literally first world problems.
Yeah.
is literally that.
Like,
So like, you know, just making us like grateful in this new year 2021 and showing us like we should be a little bit more grateful. because
I
people
think
don't
it's
have that
like
much
definitely
stuff.
putting things into perspective, right? Because like, say what you want, but the Holocaust at the time that it did happen brought a sense of unity amongst everyone. And it like, while that was an awful thing to happen and everything, but it's like people came together and they fought for what was right. Now, are we gonna do the same thing here? Do you guys think?
I don't know. I feel like China might be too big of an obstacle for the United States to overcome and invade or try to fight in a war. I feel like that's a losing battle.
The Nazis
right there.
were too big of a regime too at the time.
I
What is-
predict
It's different. I feel like it's different.
I predict it would be closer to like a second Cold War, because with the Soviet Union, right, that was also a big power that there's no way we could have invaded them back in the day. So we fought little proxy wars in other countries, and we backed certain factions. The Soviet Union backed certain factions. So I 100% see within the future some type of situation like that occurring with China, because I don't know if you also know this, China has been heavily investing in basically slave labor in Africa as well. So these companies from China are going in and they're utilizing like the local African peoples
I'm
to
pretty
like
sure China is trying to buy Africa. Like that's what
they're trying to buy everything.
They're trying to buy all the gold. I think they bought like they're mining like 3 point something billion or trillion. Something like, I don't remember the number exactly, but
crazy.
it's still like a lot of gold that they're, and like, you know, as we were talking about yesterday, the amount of gold that they just found in the Euphrates River in Turkey. So that was just uncovered and everything. So
That's crazy.
we're just finding a whole lot of things that, like, you know, we'll just see what has to happen and everything.
Honestly.
Time will only tell what is the United States gonna do, what is China gonna do. Well, but right now China is doing something that they shouldn't be doing. That is very inhumane. I don't understand why they cannot just let them be. But again, it's the whole idea of nationalism, the whole idea of the whole China. Don't worry about like individual like gods or anything like that. China is pretty much essentially
That idea of nationalism.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
pretty much is the only thing you should be caring about, your nation. Like how to make your nation proud, how to make your nation more wealthy, how to make your nation thrive.
Do you guys think, though, just out of curiosity, because I've definitely had this conversation with a few friends of mine, do you guys think it's more the responsibility of the United States to get involved, or do you think Muslim countries as a whole should unite and fight against China for that? Because at the end of the day, right, like, it is the Muslim people who are being, you know, attacked. And so I feel like as someone who is Muslim, right, I feel like it'd be like, even my own country of Pakistan, right, I feel like it's their responsibility to get involved and, like, you know, do something beneficial rather than just being like, oh, well, that sucks.
I think ideally, like in a situation with like a religious minority like that already has an established like hemisphere of influence,
Mm-hmm.
it should be able to happen, but obviously there's conflicts of interests with like Iran and like Saudi Arabia, and like there are like these geopolitical like aspects to it as well. So I don't know how well the Muslim countries I would say would be able to assist in that situation, but like what do you think on that?
Personally, I feel like, for example, it's like Saudi, Dubai, Pakistan, Muslim majority countries, bro, like they got wealth, and like I'm not just saying that to like say that, like the Saudi family is the richest family that there is. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
they're pretty up there
like
in wealth.
I think they have like $1.4 trillion to their name. Like, and that, yeah, dollars, not like dinars or nothing like that, like dollars.
I feel like the Muslims should help out China. The problem is like I see it very difficult right now, 2021, for the US to be involved in a war or any type of conflict with China, because they are a partner of interest. Most things are made in China. All the clothes that we wear, most of the things that are made here are from China. We thrive, and China thrives because of us, and we thrive
Well,
because
our
of them.
markets are very identical. Ours and China's. Like,
I
if we crash, China crashes. That's
I don't know if that.
kinda how it
I don't
is.
know if that. I don't know what's the currency, but I don't know if that Chinese currency is pegged to the United States currency. So I don't know how that
I'm
would
just talking
work.
about regular like trends in the market.
Yeah,
Like, you'll see that China and the US's markets typically align, but you know, it's going back to the whole situation of why is it aligning? China's exporting a lot, but at what cost? You know, you're seeing like companies like, for example, I know Shein, all these like fast fashion companies, they're using like Chinese labor and all that kind of stuff to, you know, fund like all their clothes and everything.
Well, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I recently saw an article that there was supposed to be some legislation passed that would ban American investments within the Chinese market
I heard about that.
in order to curb
possibly.
the funding that the Chinese government is basically utilizing in order to
Yeah,
stomp out their agenda.
it's just tough, man. It's just really
Yeah,
tough.
it's definitely a situation that we should see out, but definitely pay attention to. And, you know, it's just sad to honestly see, but thank you guys. It's been a pleasure talking about this, and we'll see you guys next time on the Jungle Podcast.
We out. See ya.
Yes, sir.